एक मन नाम ते आए। संता संगत मेल रहे, जप राम नाम सुख पाए। एक मान नाम ते आए भाई रे, एक मान नाम ते आए। 46th hymn, रहाओ, उस लाइन की तरफ थोड़ा सा इशारा है, सबके पास है। एक मान नाम ते आए, एक मान नाम ते आए। एक मान नाम ते आए भाई रे, एक मान नाम ते आए। संता संगत मेल रहे, जप राम नाम सुख पाए। एक मान नाम ते आए, एक मान नाम ते आए। मनमुख करम कमावणे, ज्यों दोहागण तन सिंगार। सेजे काल नवावै, नित नेत होए होआर। पिर को महल न पावै, नादी से घरवार। एक मान नाम ते आए भाई रे, एक मान नाम ते आए। गुरमुख सदा सुहागणी, पेरे रखे उरधार। मिठा बोले निव चले, सेजै रवे भता। शोभावंती सुहागणी, जिन गुर का हित प्यार। एक मान नाम ते आए भाई रे, एक मान नाम ते आए। पूरे भाग सतगुर मिले जहाँ भागे का दो होए, अंतर हो दुख भरम कटिए, सुख पराबत हो। गुर कै भाणे जे चले, दुख ना पावे को। एक मान नाम है आए भाई, एक मान नाम है आए, एक मान नाम है आए भाई रे, एक मान नाम है आए। गुर के भाणे विच अमृत है, सहजे पावे कोय, जिन्ना परापत तिन पिया, हाँ मैं विचों खो। नानक गुरमुख नाम थे आए, सच मिलावा होए। एक मान नाम थे आए भाई रे, एक मान नाम थे आए। संता संगत मेल रहे, संता संगत मेल रहे, जप राम नाम सुख पाए। एक मान नाम है आए भाई रे, एक मान नाम है आए, एक मान नाम है आए भाई रे, एक मान नाम है आए, एक मान नाम है आए भाई रे, एक मान नाम है आए, एक मान नाम है आए भाई रे, एक मान नाम है आए। There were a couple of questions from the last sitting. One of them was, can an entertainer also be a meditator? Today, I shared with you a composition in which the tendency to get lost is more powerful than the tendency to get excited. For me, I can sit all night and just sing just this line, एक मन नाम ध्याए भाई रे, एक मन नाम ध्याए, and just stay with that. There is no rush, there is no excitement to the senses, just a reminder to the entire system, get connected with one. Get connected with one. Get connected with one. Get connected with one. A constant hammering on the consciousness. Get connected with the one. Anything and everything that actually distracts you or takes you away from getting connected with the one, get away from it. Discard it. Avoid it. Ignore it. In the 45th hymn, we learned the last two lines of the 45th hymn. All of you have. Dar sache, sachi vadiyai, sahje sach samao, nanak nadreem paye, gurmukh mel milao. The whole emphasis on what? Sache. What is Sacha? How is the word such used in Gurbani? The truth. We confuse the facts with the truth. 2 plus 2 is 4, it's a fact. Why? Because consensual reality, external reality, accepted this. Right? I mean, everybody said 2 plus 2, call it 4. Had they called it 5, would it have been indifferent? Call this day Monday. Had they called it a Saturday, would that be any different? We just agreed that we'll call 2 plus 2 equal 4. That's not the truth. It may be a fact. Why? Because consensuality, consensus, majorities has accepted this. But that's a man-made fact. What is such? Truth. There is no equivalent word in English language to explain the Bani such. Gurbani says the such means the Adi such, Jugadi such, Hai be such, Nanak hosi be such. Something that has no other comparison. For us, everything exists in comparison, right? If I ask you, what is it? What if I call 2 plus 2 equal 3? You will say that's not a fact, right? Fact exists because there is something which is not factual. Truth exists in Gurbani because there is no other comparison. It is true by itself. There is no falsehood that is in existence in opposition to the truth. If there was a एक सच है एक झूठ है, वो जड़ा सच एक झूठ दे सामने है, that's not Gurbani's such, right? If there's a falsehood and then the truth exists, then the natural question will be, what happens when the falsehood disappears? Would not the truth disappear also? Right? I mean, you go to the mountains. Now, what is a mountain? Isn't there a valley? Right? Otherwise, okay, so I won't do anything to the mountain. I just start filling the valley. And I filled the valley to the height of the mountain. Now where is the mountain? I was not touching the mountain at all. I was just filling the valley. What happened to the mountain? It disappeared. Why? Because it existed in opposition to the valley. And Gurbani says, that truth which exists with respect to something is not a truth. Which is what has happened to the three largest, greatest religions in this world. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. What happened to them? They created a God, then they created a devil. Now they are in trouble. God exists and the devil exists. And when they ask them who created the devil, and they say, we don't know. Actually, that was an angel. Have you read the story? Angel Gabriel thought, why should I be subservient to this thing? I am a force by myself. So he changed his mind. And Gabriel became a devil. Any one of you have seen the movie Devil's Advocate? You see that? The last scene. Only the last scene. The rest is all window dressing. Because in that, the devil says, I am the real lover of the man. I don't judge him. I nourish every sense. Here is the catch. I nourish every sense. Man wants to enjoy this sense. I give him that. I say, go ahead, touch. It feels good. Doesn't it? Oh, wait a minute. Would it feel good after 70 years also? That he doesn't promise. He says, well, that's not my fault. When this all wrinkle, and not only wrinkle, there are boils on it. Would you want to touch them? When it's oozing all kind of juices, which you don't know even what is coming out of it. Would you want to touch that body? What happened to a leprosy problem? People wrap them up and throw them in there. Oh, get away. Same body. But the devil doesn't promise about that. These three religions created that problem for themselves. And Gurbani said, that's not the notion we are going to run with. There is no devil. Only God is. Only the truth is. The truth that has no competition, no comparison, no relative relationship. So if that is the case, how do you get into that? How do you meet this state? How do you reach that state? So in the 45th hymn, Gurbani pointed and said, the only way to get there is Dar Sache Sachi Vadiyai Sahaje Sach Samao. Learn to understand the Sahaj Avastha. What is the Sahaj Avastha? The natural flow of energy. Hukam Razai Chalana Nanak Likhya Nal. Learn to flow with the energy. Learn to stay in the present. Past is gone, you can't do anything about it. Future isn't here yet. Don't mortgage your present for the future. What a tragedy with a human. That's all we do. Constantly. Continuously. Every action and decision is made to have a certain impact on the future. Think about it. Meditate on this thought. Have we done anything where you'll say, based on the current information, this is what I am doing. I don't know what will happen next. Have you ever done that? Right? I mean, this society, those 401ks and retirements and the pensions and all those plannings and all that, financial plannings. Why are they done? All those instruments are only available if you live up to 65 or whatever the retirement age happens to be by the time you get there. By the time you get there, Congress may just move it. Isn't that interesting? Because when I came to the country, Retirement age was 62. I haven't retired yet, and they may move it to. And by the time I get 65, I am darned sure they are going to move it to 67. Every action, thinking of controlling the future. Think about it. This is what the purpose of sitting together in the form of a congregation is. You don't need to look at the second one, third one, fourth one. Just close your eyes and say, isn't that what I am doing? Which is the decision that I am making based on here and now? And say, I couldn't care less about the rest. Based upon the available data right now, this is the best choice. Whatever happens, then it happens. Now, what will happen? You will make the choice now with a certain idea in the future, and then future will become the present and say, oh, God is just absolutely unreasonable. What did I do wrong? I did this so that I could do this, and look what he is doing. He has changed the whole rule only for me. And I will curse constantly. And Gurbani says, that's not sahaj. What is sahaj? To come to terms with the present in a total neutral zone. Sahaj, total neutral. Not to bother the mind, not to bother the body. Not to create tension. Because tension is what is to be removed. Not to create yourself. Somebody told you, okay, stay hungry for 30 days. Now what? Body demands food, so I'm going to tell him, shut up. That's not sahaj. Gurmat says, don't do that. Come down to your natural state. When you get to the natural state, just pray for His grace. Nanak nadari paiye gurmikh mel milao. Nadar, His grace, His blessing. But how would you get to that blessing state? How would you get to that state? That's the next hymn. And the reason I spent so much time, so that you can see that these hymns weren't arranged haphazardly. When Guru Arjan was compiling the Granth, he had some idea as to every hymn relates with the other. Every line relates with the other. So every time we meet, we repeat some of the last one so that we can see, how do I get there? Now pay attention to the how. Bhai re, ek man naam dhyaye. That's it. Pay the attention to those words. Look at that. That's why you are given that. Word naam is underlined. Ma de thalle ankad lagaya hoya. That's a highlighter. Which naam? Which is the normal question, right? Kiranji has spent entire life studying Vedanta. So she suddenly appears in a Sikh gathering and everybody is talking about her naam. So say, hey, what's your naam? So I say, Vaheguru, say, are you crazy? What's wrong with Om? Now what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Gurbani is the first one. Sikh theosophy is the first one not to dictate. That's why the word naam is underlined. The question is, what is a naam to you? What's the definition of naam? The word that reminds you of that ultimate creation, that creative energy. If saying Om out of your mouth immediately put you in a space where you are actually imagining that all-pervading light that's in everyone. For heaven's sake, don't ever leave it. That is your naam. But if saying Om, a Ganesh appeared, a Rama appeared, a Hanuman appeared, a different image appeared, that is not naam for you. because it is not connecting you with the ultimate energy. It is actually diverting you from there. Right? अगर राम कहने से रावण याद आ गया, फिर सीता याद आ गई, फिर सीता का देवर लक्ष्मण याद आ गया, तो जमीन के साथ ही बंध गए, हिस्ट्री के साथ बंध गए, कहानी के साथ बंध गए, भगवान तक कैसे पहुंचोगे? How is that possible? Any word that actually connects you directly without going through anything else is your name. अगर गोविंद कहने से वहां चले जाते हो तो भाई गोविंद को मत छोड़ना. अगर गोविंद कहने से गुरु गोविंद सिंह याद आ गया तो फिर मारे गए, फिर फंस गए, फिर उनका तीर याद आ जाएगा, घोड़ा याद आ जाएगी, कलगी याद आ जाएगी, बाज याद आ जाएगी, फंस गए. वो गोविंद आपके लिए अच्छा नहीं है, वो नाम नहीं है आपके लिए. इसलिए उस मां को नीचे अंडरलाइन कर दिया है. तो क्या कहा है? भाई रे एक मन नाम ध्याए. Get that word which actually puts you in where? In a dhyan avastha, a state of dhyan. That's the third stage. What's the first stage? Japana. Second stage, Simarna. Third stage, Dhyan. Fourth stage, Samadhi. Those are the 4 stages of consciousness's evolution. So what's Gurbani saying? He says, put your mind-body system together and try to get to the Dhyan stage. Using what? That one word, that naam. And then what should you do? How do you? Here is a device that will help you. What? Santa Sangat Mil Rahe. Try to find the same type of people, congregation, Sangat. Try to look for those who are also like you, who also want to experience that same state. That's a Sangat, company. Particularly in the beginning. Those of you who have tried it, you can sit down by yourself and try to focus on a single word. Within 2 minutes, you will look at the watch. Within 2 minutes. Oh my God. I'm supposed to sit here for an hour and a half. Not even 5 minutes yet. And then you will close your eyes again and you will continue, and within another 2 minutes you open your eyes again and it will still not be 5 minutes. But when you are in the company of others, just out of simple etiquette, you won't open your eyes and you won't look at the watch. And you will just continue. The company provides that momentum. It breaks down the resistance of the mind. It provides that momentum in the beginning. Once it gets going, then you don't need anybody else. It's just like when you have a plant which is very delicate, you put something around it, right? You put a fence. The bird should not come, the animal should not come. If it's sensitive to the wind or heat, you just protect it, right? When it grows up, everything is thrown out. You don't need any one of them. In the beginning, it helps. That's why Gurbani says, Santa Sangat Mil Rahe. Get into the company of those who are on the same path. Which path? Jap Ram Naam Sukh Paye. Those who also believe that the meditation, Naam Japana, is the real Sukha, real blessing. For those who it is a punishment, they'll run away like that. He says, how is that possible? Now today, the similes are taken to explain this point, and I want to make sure that ladies in the congregation are a little alert, because similes are about them today. Gurbani is talking two words, sohagan and dohagan. It's not a male versus female argument. It's how it is defined in the spiritual realm. In the spiritual realm, sohagan, even though in the physical world is pretty much the same. Sohagan literally means the one who has become absolutely inseparable, indispensable to the husband. Okay? So those of you who are into the woman liberation, I'm not trying to get on your wrong side. Okay? Because you can decide to be true to the husband of us all and ignore your own husband. Okay? So please don't kill me, even though it's not required. Because if you can use your own husband as just a practice tool, just use him as a practice tool. Why? Because this is something you can touch, feel, see, know, smell. You can see it. Now, if you cannot surrender to something that you can touch and feel, how are you going to surrender to something that you have no clue about? So just experiment. Even though that's not the reality, I'm just using it as a device. So sohagan, the one who's absolutely adored by the husband. Dohagan, dohag. She's not for one. So in our culture, what we call the one who's not for one? Prostitute ही कहते हैं ना, वेश्वाई कहने हैं, right? The one who is not for one man, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਕਹੀਦਾ? वेश्वा, right? गुरबाणी ਉਹਨੂੰ दोहागन कहती है. The one who is not making that परमेश्वर, that पति, उसਨੂੰ सुहागन क्या है? ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਖੁਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਸੁਹਾਗਨ ਕਿਹਾ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਖੁਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਉਸਨੂੰ ਦੁਹਾਗਨ ਕਿਹਾ. ਸੋ ਰਹਾਉ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਇੱਕ ਮਨ ਨਾਮ ਧਿਆਏ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਧਿਆਉਂਦੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਕਿਹਾ? ਮਨਮੁਖ ਕਰਮ ਕਮਾਵਣੇ. That one will only follow one's own mind. Manmukh. Man, mind. Mukh, the mouth. They will follow their own ideas. They would not listen to the guru. They would not listen to the spirituality. They would not pay attention to the mysticism. They will follow their own intellect. Hey, I'm a smart one. When you do that, what happens? It says, Jyon dohagan tan shingar. It is as if a prostitute is decorating her body to allure a man. She will never allure a husband. She will only allure a man. So, the one who's following the one's own mind, it will only allure what? Another sensual pleasure. Agar lobh paida hoya, that will create another attachment. वो मोह पैदा कर लाएगा. अगर मोह पैदा होया, वो हंकार पैदा कर लेगा. हंकार पैदा होया, वो वासना पैदा कर लेगी. वासना खत्म हुई, वो क्रोध पैदा कर लेगी. But they will never ever create that detachment. मनमुख कर्म कवामने ज्यों दुहागन तन श्रृंगार is equivalent to as if a prostitute is decorating the body, and what happens for her? Seje kantanaya avai. Look at it, what a visual is being created. By using the language of this world, using the example of this world, Gurbani has created a visual for us. What's the difference between a wife and a prostitute? Gurbani is creating that right now. जिस प्यार नाल पति पत्नी नूं बाहां विच लैंदा है, उस प्यार नाल बंदा ਪ੍ਰੋਸਟੀਟਿਊਟ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਹਾਂ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੈਂਦਾ, ਉਹਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਪੈਸੇ ਖਰਚੇ ਨੇ। He wants his money's worth. He couldn't care less about how you feel. A lover will never treat a beloved that way. If anything, he or she will constantly check, are you okay? Am I putting you in discomfort? Any embarrassment? Any shame? If any one of these feelings are there, he or she will just back off. But the person who has bought the time, would he back off? Absolutely not. So Gurbani is drawing an image. Watch this image. Sejay kantanay avi. He says, that's not the husband. Sage means your bed. On your bed, it is not the husband. What is it? Say, nita nita hoye huar. This is something that would actually dishonor you, hurt you, and shame you. Nit nit, every day, every moment. Hoye khuwar. Khuwar means to get dishonored. Pirka महल ना पावई, ना दी से घर बार. That type of a relationship can never lead to what? Pirka महल. Pir means husband, mahal means his house. You will never get to the real husband's house with this kind of a behavior. So what should you do? Get back to the real one. Get to the meditation. Bhai re, ek maine naam diya. That's the only way. The Prabhupati, the real husband of us all, is going to be pleased by us. There is no other way. Those who get this secret and understand the riddle, understand this particular parable, Gurmukh Sada Suhagani. First was Manmukh, the one who's following the mind. That's Man, mind, Mukh, following the mind. Gurmukh. Who's the Gurmukh? Who's listening to the master, who has been there before you, has gone through this process, and he or she is giving you the guidance, telling you the way. You have the faith, you have the confidence on that. Gurmukh Sada Sohagani. That individual will always be able to do what? Pir rakhya uradhar. Pir means the husband, or means the heart. That image is not in the brain, it's not an intellectual conversation, which is what happens to us. At least in our culture, one day you are stranger and the next day you are husband and wife. Why? Because somebody said so. That's it. Right? Society puts you together and say, he is your husband, you are his wife, and now listen to him and do what he wants you to do. End of discussion. Whether you know, whether you want, whether you like, it doesn't matter. They say, no. Gurbani is not endorsing that. Society may be, the law may be, spirituality is not endorsing that. What spirituality looking for? He says, nahi. That is the husband who has actually conquered the heart, has become the part of your being. Naturally, no man can accomplish that task. If there is a man who can accomplish that task, my turban off to him. There's only one husband of us all who can do that. I am not recommending that you kick your husbands out of the house and say, now I am looking for that husband, so you are useless. I am saying use that husband as a tool, as a projection, as an aid, as a device. If you cannot surrender your ego here As they say, if you cannot see God in all, you can never see God at all. If you cannot see the God in your husband, you will never see the God anywhere else either. It's possible. It's the law of the nature. Oh, how can I meet him? Every morning I get up, that damn fool is drunk and snoring. That's not a God's image. He's not a God's image. That's not a body of a God. What you are responding to is the body's behavior. Nobody's talking to you about the body here. Everyone is talking what makes that body breathe. What makes that body exist. If you cannot use your own husband to see that energy in that body, which would prepare you to see the God in a dog, in a cat, in a mouse, and in the enemy and in the friend, then you're going to lose on both accounts. And that's what Pir rakhya uredhar, hirde de vich chala gaya. And what's the sign of that? Usdi nishani ki hai. How would you know that transformation has started inside you? Here is a test. Mitha bole, niv chale, seje rave patar. First test, the language changes. Mitha, sweetness in your communication with everyone, with everything. First change, the language will change. Mitha bole. Second, never away. The ego will become subordinate to everything. Not just to the husband, to everything. Sudden reduction in the egoistic attitude toward life. I am somebody, I am something, and I am always right. That attitude will start, a humility will start evolving. When a humility develops, then what happens? Seje rave bhatar. Even the physical husband would not leave your bed ever. Humility is so attractive to everyone. And arrogance is so repulsive to everyone. Shobhavanti, sohagani, jin gurka het pyar. She is the one. Now she doesn't mean the female body. She means the soul, Atma. The one who is listening to the one who has gone before him. That one will always be Sohagani. She will always be honored by her husband. Pure bhag Satgur mile, jaan bhage ka udo hoye, अंतरों दुख परम कटिए सुख प्राप्त होए गुर के भाने जो चले दुख न पावे कोय. It is the sign of the highest grace from the ultimate creator. Which one? Those who have learned gur ke paane je chale. The one who has learned to live the life according to his will. Hukum razai chalna. Gur ka pana means the will. The one who can learn to live according to the will, that's a biggest grace, because if that grace is available, what is there? Gur ke paane vich amrit hai. Amrit. Transcendence of life and death cycle. Amrit. Amrit means the one which is transcending the cycle of life and death. If you truly learn and practice what? Gur ke bhane ch rehna. If you can live in that grace, then it is possible to eventually conquer the cycle of life and death ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਤਿਨ ਮੀਆ ਪੀਆ ਹਉਮੈ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਖੋਏ ਨਾਨਕ ਗੁਰਮੁਖ ਨਾਮ ਧਿਆਈਐ ਸੱਚ ਮਿਲਾਵਾ ਹੋਏ. Those who have actually started on that path with His grace, they will eventually become one with the one, with that truth. Sach milawa hoye. They will eventually get to that stage, and if they get to that stage, can they do it on their own? Because if you do it on your own, then the ego will come right back. The next hymn points out to that one. गुर बिन भगत ना होए, 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 या पिर जाने आपना तन मन अंगे तरे, सोहागणी करम कमाम दिया सेई करम करे, सहजे सच मिलावड़ा, सहजे सच मिलावड़ा, हज वड़ाई रे, बिन गुण भगत न होए भाई रे, बिन गुण भगत न होए, बिन गुर भगत न पाइए, जे लोचे सब कोए, बिन गुर भगत न होए भाई रे, बिन गुर भगत न होए, लख 84 फेर पया कामन दूजे भाए, बिन गुर नींद न आवे, दुखी रहन विहाय, बिन शब्द पिर न पाइए, बिरथा जन्म गवाए, हाउ हाउ करती जग फिरी, ना धन संपे नाल, अंधी नाम न चेतई, सब बादे जमकाल, सतगुर मिले धन पाया, हर नामार दे समाल, नाम रते से निर्मले गुर के सहज सुभाव मन तन राता संग स्यो रसन रसन रसाए नानक रंग ना उतरे जो हर धुर छोड़े आला गुरु बेन भगत न होए गुरु बेन भगत न होए गुरु बेन भगत न होए भाई रे गुरु बेन भगत न हो। Understand, to get to that state of evolution, you are not going to be able to accomplish it with your own collected knowledge, your own information, with your intellect, because this is not the subject of intellect. It is not a science. It's not mathematics. It's not grammar. It has nothing to do with anything that is created by the human mind. Why don't you get it? पिता का जन्म कै जाने पूत? Simple question. There has been a writer here. He's Dr. Graf. And he says that if you can literally remember the condition of your own birth, the time, the environment that you pass through, all of us that we are sitting here, how many of us know whether we were the natural birth, C-section, forceps, umbilical cord around the neck, breached, hung upside down? Do we know anything? Would our mother ever tell us? None of us know that. But now let's make it a little bit more interesting. If you were to know the birth environment of your father or mother, now what? Is that possible? पिता का जन्म कै जाने पूत? How would you know it? And what is the arrogance of the human mind? Look at that. It just doesn't want to know the birth of his own father. He wants to know the birth of the one who created everything else. Look at our arrogance. हम जानना चाहते हैं भगवान कैसे और कब और किस तरह से पैदा हुआ. यही नहीं, उसने ये दुनिया कैसे बनाई और क्यों बनाई. Right? We start singing the song. दुनिया बनाने वाले क्या तेरे मन में समाई, काहे ये दुनिया बनाई. है ना? We ask that question of the Creator. Try asking your father how was you born. He will count every tooth in your mouth and sunk it in your breath canal and say, how dare you? But that's how arrogant we are. And Gurbani says, now stop. If you want the spiritual growth, spiritual evolution, you are not going to be able to do that the known conventional means. You have to seek the support, guidance, counsel of what? Bhai re, gur bin bhagat na hoye. Who? The one who has gone ahead of you. Who knows? Who's not interested in making another missionary college? Who's not interested in starting another institution? Who's not interested in making few more disciples and creating a source of income? Who's only interested in helping you to get on the path? That's it. Nothing else to be exchanged. No other expectation. When you find that type, then what? Without that, Gorban Gyan na hoye. It's not possible. Hoga nahi. Why? Because, which is what is happening in today's society. I'm sure when I was growing up, it was the same story. What is our most source of information? Our peers, isn't it? By word of mouth. I don't know about you, but that's how I found out the birds and bees. My father never sat down and told me about anything. And the first boy who talked to me about it, I slapped him. I thought he was being so vulgar. It's talking about a male-female relationship. The poor guy cried. He said, I'm telling the truth. I said, you get out of my face. And I had no courage or guts to go back to my father and ask him that question. Is that what it is? We all find the information about the life from the same level of people who themselves are trying to discover. And Gurbani is saying, come on, man. Wake up. This is not the topic of intellect. You can't sit down next to your friend and say, have you known about God and spirituality? He's just as lost as you are. What do? Humble yourself a little bit. Drop the darn ego and go to someone and say, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. And honestly, I have a desire to know. No. I tell you, my own experience in life. I got out of the music business. When I came here, a lot of people wanted to learn music from me, and I would say, as soon as they will come and say, हमको सारे गामा तो आता है. मैं उनके सामने हाथ जोड़ देता हूँ. भाई मैं तो सिर्फ सारे गामा ही सिखा सकता हूँ, और तो मेरे को आता ही नहीं. सारे गामा आपको पहले ही आता है, आप जाइए. मैं आपको कुछ नहीं सिखा. I got out of this business completely. I did not teach a single person music. Why? Because they already knew. Nobody has ever come to me and said, I don't know. They already know something. I couldn't teach them.
Why did they come to you?
Exactly. Precisely. नहीं जी, हम आपसे सीखना तो जरूर चाहते हैं, पर इससे आगे, मैं ना बोल से इसके आगे तो कुछ भी नहीं. जिसको सारे गामा आ गया, इसके आगे और कुछ भी नहीं है सीखने. दरअसल बात यह है कि जिसको सा कहना आ गया है, उसको और कुछ सिखाने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. Which was what my training was. बेटा, अगर एक का पता नहीं चला तो ओंकार को नहीं कहने का है. Remember that? पहले एक को समझो, एक को जानो, एक को पहचानो, तो ओंकार कहना. सतनाम तो बहुत दूर है. जिसको सा लगाना आ गया है, उसको रे सिखाने की जरूरत है ही नहीं. सा में रे छुपा हुआ है. It's already there. If you have come to me with that idea that you already know how to say sa re ga ma pa, तो तुम तो मेरे से बहुत आगे हो. मैं तो रे पे बैठा हूं. ये क्या है? ये अहंकार बिल्कुल नंगा बेशर्म होकर नाच रहा है. अहंकार लेकर you can travel into any one of the physical dimensions. You will not be able to travel in the spiritual dimension even one step. It's impossible. And that's why it's not for everyone. जग में उत्तम काढ़ी है, विरले K. We repeat that every day in Reharas, don't we? Jag mein uttam kadhi hai. Gurbani virlo vicharasi je ko gurmukh hoye e bani Sadguru ki nij ghar vasa hoye. Because this is something that is going to take you to your original source. But who the hell cares about original source? I'm very comfortable in this house. Why you want to tell me about that house? Very few. So, rahao the line. Bhai re, gurbin bhagat na hoye. Unless you can listen to and accept that, it is not going to be possible. Why? Bin gur bhagat na paiye joy loche sab koe. You can cry as much as you want, desire as much as you want, because that's also a form of expression of ego. You got to learn to be humble, and humility starts now. अजी जब कोई गुरु मिल जाएगा तो humble हो लेंगे, right? I am willing to be humble, but I haven't found the right guru yet. Humility is not with respect to somebody. Humility is a quality in itself. Either you are humble or you are not. That's it. अजी हमारे से कोई अच्छा मिलेगा तो उसके सामने सर झुकाएंगे ना. ये कौन बोल रहा है? ये भी अहंकार ही बोल रहा है. हमारे से अच्छा. That means I'm somebody. तो ईगो तो आ गई. Understand the concept in Vedanta of giving you a statue of a stone. पत्थर की मूर्ति का क्या मकसद है? कभी सुना है? आप समझा आपने? जानना चाहते हो? आप यार कमावे का सब वासी हमारे ये भाई कब बंद करेगा यार? मूर्ति क्या होती है? एक पत्थर है. उस पत्थर में से क्या किया गया है? उसमें से फालतू पत्थर उतार दिया गया है. Think about it. A sculptor never makes or creates a statue because statue is already there in that stone. So what does he do? What's the job of a sculptor? Visualize an image and then remove the excess. Knock out the excess. What remains is a statue. ऐसे में तस्वीर बनती है ना. पत्थर तो स्क्वायर होता है ना, राइट? तो वो ड्राइंग थोड़ी करता उसके ऊपर. All it is, take a hammer and a chisel and start knocking out. Right? He's just removing the excess stone. He's not creating anything. That picture was already there. अच्छा, अब वो एक स्टैचू बन गया. अगर उस स्टैचू की जगह एग्जैक्टली उस जैसा दिखता हुआ इंसान सामने बिठा दिया जाए, exactly look alike, would you come and worship that man? Why not? Because you know he is exactly like you. He's a human being. अरे ये तो मेरे से बुरा है, अच्छा कैसे हो सकता है? Surrendering to someone who looks like you, talks like you, sleeps like you, breathes like you, it's so difficult. तो क्या किया गया? एक इमेज बना के उसके ऊपर लिख दिया गया भगवान. That's it. Can you surrender now? पत्थर के ऊपर लिख दिया गया भगवान. That's it. Now you cannot say he is exactly like you. He breathes like you, he sleeps like you, he eats like you, he breathes like you. No, he doesn't. None of the things that you do, he does. So can you surrender now? Statue is nothing more than a convenient device to teach you how to surrender your ego to someone who you can never ever perceive to be higher than or lower than you. That's the total purpose. नहीं, वो पत्थर तो कुछ भी नहीं है ना, वो हायर ना वो लोअर, आप जानते हैं वो पत्थर है, and you even know the guy who made it. तो वो आपको एक डिवाइस दे दिया गया, अरे ये कुछ भी नहीं है, तुम सरेंडर करो इसके सामने, इट्स मच इजियर, नाउ कैन यू डू दैट. तो हमने क्या किया, इंस्टेड ऑफ सरेंडरिंग हम फूल ले गए, अपने आप को भेंट नहीं किया, फूल कर दिया, और तो और उस मूर्ति को खाना खिलाने लगे. Isn't that amazing? Imagine the person who created the image. What the thought was. What the intention was. Knowing that another man can never ever surrender to a man, doesn't matter how big that man is. Take the manhood away and give a device so that the man can surrender. Learn to surrender. Absolutely not. Not at all. Those who are with Sai Baba only want to be recognized as being associated with Sai Baba. Same thing. When you want to be associated with somebody, it is your ego playing. There was only one person who understood that game. His name was Pailana. That's the Brahm Gyani Nishani. You see the game. When you do, you just lost the game. If you worship Guru Nanak, you lost the game. You just change the toy, the game remains the same. उसने कृष्ण की मूर्ति रखी है, आपने नानक की तस्वीर रख ली, तो फर्क क्या है? सेम ड्रामा. अरे हनुमान की तस्वीर उतार दो और गुरु गोविंद सिंह की तस्वीर वहां पे खड़ी कर दो, क्या फर्क पड़ा? मूर्ति को उतार के ग्रंथ रख दो, क्या फर्क पड़ा भाई? उसने मूर्ति पे सेरे रखा दिए, आपने ग्रंथ पे सेरे चढ़ा दिए. उसने मूर्ति के सामने ला के प्रसाद रख दिया, आपने कड़ा प्रसाद बना के ग्रंथ के सामने रख दिया, फर्क क्या पड़ा? गेम तो वही है, वही तमाशा, वही इल्यूजन. कुर्बानी कह रहे हैं, वेक अप. दिस इज नॉट भक्ति, दिस इज नॉट मेडिटेशन. ये उसके पास नहीं लेके जाएगा. भाई रे, गुर बिन भगत ना होए, बिन गुर भगत ना पाइए, जे लोचे सब कोई. इट डजंट मैटर हाउ स्ट्रॉन्ग you want to this, it is not going to happen. How will it happen? तो हिम शुरू हो गया, कहने लगे जा पर जाने अपना तन मन अगे धरे. It's total surrendering. Whatever you have learned, whatever you understood, whatever you remember, surrender all of it. And when you surrender that, then what happens? Say sohagani karma kamavandiyan sei karma kare. Then you would ask the Guru, what is the right action? Then the Sohagani will do that, will act according to what the Guru tells. ਹੁਣ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਗਿਆ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ? What is one Karam? ਨਾਮ ਜਪੋ. That's it. The Guru is not going to give you any other prescription, no other ritual, no other replacement. Is all going to say, अब भाई वहां बैठ के उसको याद कर, और क्या है? सारा जीवन उसकी याद में गुजार ले, और क्या है? It will take you there. What will happen? Saje sach milavada sach vadai de. Guru will only guide you to what? सहजे साच मिलावड़ा. How to become one with that sach, that truth. उसको कैसे मिलना है? How to be one with that? And he will guide you into that direction. But if you don't find that type of environment, what is the possibility? Next line comes, लख 84 फेर पया कामन दूजे भाए बिन गुर नींद न आवई दुखी रहन विहाए बिन शब्दे पेर ना पाइए बिरथा जन्म गवाए. The whole of the life is wasted. After going through the cycles of life and death, lakh 84, Juna, which all through that cycle, you came back into the human body form, and then what happened? Kaman duje bhai. You got into the life of the senses gratification. Because of that, now you are not at peace with yourself, and the rest of the whole life is going through that torture, because bin shabde per na paiye. Without that kalana, without that work, without that meditation, the whole of the life, birtha janma gavaye, the whole cycle is wasted. Why? Why it's wasted? He says, this is what the life pattern is. How karti jag firi. The whole of the life is how, ego, man, I am doing it. Whole of the life is spent with how karti jag firi, na dhan sampe naal, andhi naam na chetai, sab badi jamkal, satgur miliye tan paya, har naam haride samal. The whole of the life is spent with what? How. Knowing that all of the wealth, na dhan sampe naal, it is not something that you can take with you. Still, you kept on collecting it. Instead of doing that, the time should have been spent with what? With the naam. But that's not what he is doing. Andhi naam na chetai. Andhi means the ignorant. The ignorant is not actually attaching itself to the naam and is becoming the source of jamkal. Sabbadi jamkal. All become the source of the life and death cycle. Satgur miliye dhan paya har naamare de samal. When you find that true guru who is actually putting you on the right path, it will say har naamare de samal. Get that word, let it go deep into your heart. And when that happens, naam rate se nirmale gur ke sahaj subhaye मन तन राता रंग स्यों रसना रसन रसाए नानक रंग ना उतरे जो हर तुर छोड़िया लाए. Those who are naam rate. There are two words in Punjabi language. One is rangana, the other is ratana. The rang is the color, to color something. And the ratana is to color something, but in such a way that it cannot be taken out, permanent. That's ratana. He says, naam rate. Naam de naal rangya nahi gaya, balki rate aa gaya. The naam has become part of the fiber. How? In sahaj subhai. Without torturing the mind-body system, he has made that meditation part of him. How? Manatan rata sangsyu rasana rasan. Rasana means that the tongue, jibha. He uses that jibha to do what? To that meditation, that repetition of the word. And then when that happens, then the final stage. Nanak rangana uttare jo har tur chhodya laye. Then that type of meditation, that type of changes in aura can never ever be shaken off, and it then leads to har tur chhodya paye. Then you are relieved from the cycle of life and death. So may he give us the grace and the help and the strength to take these words into the heart and stop just collecting the knowledge and get on to the actual path that the Gurbani is prescribing. With that, I want to thank you for coming.